Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I will be listing my X Factor for every Eastern Conference team. Most are legit X Factors, but a couple are negative X Factors. Stick around with me to find out which players I consider to be negatives for their team. Starting with the Atlanta Hawks, I think that Jalen Johnson needs to take another step for this Hawks team if they want to be a top 8 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. While Onyeka Okongwu is a very important piece of this team, I think that Jalen's ability to score is going to be too valuable and too important for this team moving forward. For the Boston Celtics, it has to be Al Horford. Not only is he the leader and mentor of this team, but he's also extremely important right now with Kristaps Porzingis being out until Christmas. Al hasn't been a big numbers guy over the last few years, but his leadership in the locker room, it's far too valuable. As long as the 38-year-old stays healthy and can be a perimeter threat, he is without a doubt the X factor in my mind. Cam Thomas is off to a ridiculous start in Brooklyn this season, averaging 30 points through his first 2 games. And while that's extremely impressive, the Nets want to be bad. They want Cooper Flag. So the first negative X factor of this series is a tie between Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton. After 2 games, both Claxton and Johnson are really struggling. The Nets need for them to continue to struggle. While Cam Thomas is playing for a contract, the other 2 are not. Cam Johnson is locked up through the 26-27 season, and Claxton is there until about 2028. Sorry Nets fans, but 2 of your 3 best players need to be bad this season if you want any hope for your future. So I try to not put the star players on the X Factors list, but the Hornets X Factor is without a doubt LaMelo Ball. We all know that the man is extremely talented and has the ability to be one of the best point guards in the NBA, but his health will ultimately be the deciding factor on how far this Hornets team hopes to go. In the past 2 seasons, LaMelo has only played in 58 out of 164 games. As good as Bridges and Brandon Miller are, the Hornets can only go as far as LaMelo is able to take them. So here's another sort of negative X factor. It's Zach LaVine. And while I said that players need to be bad for the Nets, the Bulls need for LaVine to be good. It's obvious that the Bulls have been trying to offload LaVine since the end of last season, but nobody wants to bite on an often injured player who has never shown that he can be one of the better players on a championship caliber team. The Bulls really need for LaVine to rehab his trade value so they can try and rebuild with a couple of extra assets. The Cavs X Factor to me has to be Evan Mobley. I personally believe that Mobley will be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, but Cleveland needs for him to be more than that. After 2 games, he's averaging a team high of 20.5 points on 58% shooting. He's balling out right now, but the Cavs need for him to be more of a 3-point threat to open the floor for Jarrett Allen down low, especially considering that Darius Garland is once again a non-factor so far. For the Detroit Pistons, I think the X factor has to be Jalen Duren. Cade will always be a stud. Jaden Ivey is great so far, and Ausar Thompson will be really good when he gets back on the court. The Pistons are still a couple years away from being a legitimate playoff team, so for them, they need for Durant to have a breakout season. They need for him to be more active in pick and rolls, and if he can develop a 3-point shot, that would be even better. He's already a good playmaker for his position, but they need for him to break out this season or else the Pistons might panic and draft a center in next year's draft. Through 2 games, Tyrese Haliburton is really struggling, shooting 23% from the field and 6% from 3. Luckily for the Pacers, they have Benedict Mathurin. He's carrying the team until Hallie eventually figures it out. Through the second half of last season until now, it's been clear that the Pacers can't put all of their hope into Hallie. That's why the Siakam trade happened, and that's why Mathurin has to be the X factor for Indiana going forward. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Jimmy Butler's time of being a star player in this league is over. The 35-year-old forward began this year going 1 of 8 from the field and finished the game with 3 whole points. Every player has a stinker once in a while, but I personally believe that Jimmy won't average more than 15 points for the Heat this season, and the Heat will miss the playoffs altogether. That's why the Heat's X factor has to be Tyler Hero. I think the Heat blow up the roster at the trade deadline, and Butler and Hero find new homes. For the Heat, they really need for Hero to ball out so they can maximize the return that they can get for him. For the Bucks, the X factor is a toss-up between Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton. A healthy Dame and Giannis are enough to lead this Bucks team to a top 4 seed in the East, but if they want to make any noise at all in the playoffs or even get higher than a 4 seed, they need for Brook and Chris to stay healthy and be impactful enough so teams can't just ignore them and throw a double at the 2 stars of the team. The Knicks have a few guys who could really be the X factor of the team, but I think Cat is the obvious answer. We know that Bridges and OG will always be really good defenders and reliable offensive weapons, but Cat really needs to elevate his play on both ends. Karl has always been one of the best shooting bigs in the league, but we need to see him more in the pick and roll game with Brunson, and defensively, he needs to prove that he can hang with guys like Giannis, Embiid, and even Porzingis when he comes back. In my opinion, Cat needs to be better than ever in order for the Knicks to have any hope in beating the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. The Orlando Magic are desperate for more scoring and playmaking. It seems that Anthony Black has beaten out Cole Anthony for that starting point guard spot, but one of them needs to be the X factor for Orlando. Outside of Paolo and Franz, the Magic don't have a single player averaging 13 points so far this season. Paolo and Franz are good enough to lead the Magic to a top 6 seed in the East, but without more scoring, the Magic again will be lucky to make it out of the first round. Cole Anthony and Anthony Black need to step up, or I could see the Magic making a move soon for a new point guard altogether. While the health of Embiid and Paul George will always be the determining factor of how far Philly can go, I think George's health is a little more important. Embiid and the Sixers recently came out and said that Embiid is unlikely to play any more back-to-backs in his career. That means that Paul George needs to step up and help Tyrese Maxey when Embiid is sitting out with his fragile body. The Raptors are another team that need to be bad this season, and the players confirmed during Media Day that they don't plan to compete whatsoever this season. So with that being said, the only players that matter on this Raptors team are the young guys like Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick. Quickly and Barrett are locked up to at least 2027, so they can take a year off for all you Jerry cares. Hell, I could even see Barrett being moved at some point before next season. And finally, we have the Washington Wizards. They're another team that needs and wants to be bad in hopes of landing Cooper Flag. The only player on this entire roster that truly matters right now is Alex Sarr. They need for him to play a lot of minutes and to show that he was worthy of being drafted 2nd overall. It would also help for Kuzma to continue airballing. I do like Keyshawn George, but yeah, Alex Sarr is the only player who truly matters on this roster right now. Sorry, Keyshawn. So yeah, those are my X factors for all 15 of the Eastern Conference teams. Feel free to leave a comment below with what you think I got wrong, or with what you think I got right. Thank you for giving my video a chance, and if you made it this far, you're a real one. I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel to help me reach my current goal of 100 subscribers. Anyways, thanks again, and I hope you guys have the best weekends of your entire life.